So I think first off, privacy is inherent in everything we do. We have to protect customers' data. That's our business. The way that they want us to use their data is the way that we need to use it. But that said, I think customers don't fully know how their data will be used, and we're not letting them make explicit choices. And so what I mean by that is, in advertising, I'm basically making a trade-off. I'm saying, look, I will pay for the content that you want to watch, that you want to consume, in exchange for you to watch my ad. That's the deal. But if customers don't know that, they're going to opt out, and it puts privacy in the background. So once we empower customers to make that choice and say, hey, am I willing to pay for this, or am I not willing to pay for this, or give my data in exchange for, to see that ad, empowering the customer to do that is just going to open up so much in terms of what we as an industry can do.
Speaking of things customers probably don't understand, we're seeing cookies finally deprecate this year. It's happening. What's been your approach to the cookieless targeting era?
So I've always thought the cookie is kind of a bad technology to start with. It's an old technology. I mean, these are ad tech stacks that were built in the early aughts with companies like ValueClick that don't exist anymore. And so we've just built on top, built on top, built on top. So when Google announced that they were going to remove cookies from Chrome a few years ago, I said, first off, it's not going to happen for 5 years. And they had said 2021, and now we're in 2024. So I'm going to call that I won that one. But second, we started to say, well, how would we design a world without cookies? What would that look like? And so what we started thinking about is, how do we want to integrate with publishing partners, create data, use second-party data. So use their first-party data and our first-party data, and combine it in such a way that's privacy safe to make better decisions about who we were advertising with.
So it sounds like you've been on top of this, planning and testing. What have you learned? Why has it been advantageous to go fast?
So I think what we've learned is that there's some areas where you can't go fast. The technology hasn't caught up in terms of standards. And so what we've had to do is work individually with a couple of publishers to test the approach. And now we're looking at how is the industry going to scale. So we see a lot of SSPs and DSPs looking to create some standards where that privacy data can be shared, or that first-party data can be used in a consistent way, and the data is matched in a safe way on their platforms. That's something we kind of expected, but now we're starting to see more standardization, which will allow us to scale.
Assuming that cookies actually are fully gone by the end of this year, we don't know, what do you think the benefits will be of being out in front of this and moving faster in a lot of these projects?
I think it's just comfort. We don't know what we don't know. There's a lot that we still need to test that we're going to learn as we go, but the fact that we've been playing in the space and dipping our toes in and getting comfortable, I think just makes us not as worried about what happens when this data source goes away, because we've been planning for it. If you rely on it, your models are based on it, it's what you know, then there's a lot of work to rethink your approach. And I'd add that as we think about the workflows, we've changed the workflows. We've changed the places that we sync data. We've changed the order of operations. That's been critical to get ahead of that. So if you're not thinking about that yet, there's a lot of work that's going to have to happen when the third-party cookie is finally deprecated.
Well, in terms of changing all those workflows, one thing we've heard is that it's not always easy to figure out who's in charge of this whole process, who runs what, because it touches so many aspects of brands and media companies. How has that worked for you guys?
I would love to say it's perfect. I think the biggest thing in our favor is stating from marketing leadership what is important, what are our goals, and getting alignment on the way that what the direction is going to be. There's always going to be people that we need to bring along at agency partners, at publishing partners, internally on the technology side, because it's a change. When you move from a cookie-based tag data sync that sits on, in a browser tag or sits in tag management, and now you're building a direct integration behind the scenes, that's a different set of people that need to be involved. And so it's really just about education and making sure that people are aware of the strategy so that we can execute as best as we can.